forward button. So this is Stephan Carlson and the Brookdale Hospital Group just sharing about their efforts for adding empathy circles, doing empathy circles, and take it away, Stephan. And
so, coronavirus disease 2019 is affecting our healthcare community in unprecedented ways. And as a psychiatrist at One Brooklyn Health, in a community that is dealing with a number of with a disproportionate morbidity and mortality from COVID-19 as a result of what are called the social determinants of health, such as decreased, less resources, less health insurance, less, safe housing, good food, having good jobs, having banks, having good transportation. All kinds of things affect the inequities that are found in the community in which we work and help that community. And I was thinking about a way to provide a community level or organizational level intervention during the management phase or the acute phase of a prolonged crisis or disaster or traumatic experience such as COVID-19, where healthcare workers need their resilience buoyed, resilience needs to be promoted. And I looked around at some different options, and I thought that the two primary options that I would offer in terms of interventions would be one, a mindfulness intervention, and two, an empathy circle or empathy cafe intervention, where people would separate into empathy circles once they joined the cafe. And so I reached out to Edwin, and due to his years of being involved in this and developing the empathy circle, he has a number of networks and trained up facilitators who are working in many different areas, like the Extinction Rebellion, or and they've graciously offered and extended their skills and their and have helped already in the past week or two in helping me launch this intervention at our healthcare system in Brooklyn. And I'm very appreciative for Edwin really creating the empathy circle and then creating this network of facilitators, and I'm appreciative to just our common humanity and love and value for one another, for people to want to help healthcare workers who need empathy and need support right now. So we are in the early phases of offering this intervention, and we are facing challenges of getting healthcare workers to participate in these empathy circles, and we are fine-tuning the delivery of the empathy circle, thinking about the duration of it, perhaps shortening it, thinking about how we can promote it or market it, or motivate people to participate. In the past, last week, people suggested a buddy system. People suggested getting our own facilitators. So we have brought on some other people who are interested in facilitating, and we are going to continue to think about ways to get people involved. And we are planning to submit an IRB proposal which is a type of proposal for research to investigate this intervention at One Brooklyn Health system, really trying to link up the empathy circle practice via the Zoom platform in the context of social distancing, in the context of COVID-19, where healthcare workers, need coping skills or interventions that will help them continue to flourish and keep and maintain their energy, strength, compassion, and focus to care for others. And so the empathy circle process via Zoom, I believe, may be correlated with enhancing our healthcare workers' resilience, so that they can continue to be effective as healthcare workers in the healthcare worker-patient interaction, that they can also be more effective in their healthcare to healthcare worker interactions, and these will drive more effective outcomes in terms of better team processes, more effective teams, more effective organizational outcomes, and ultimately better patient outcomes during COVID-19. So that's the summary. Any thoughts? Any questions? I appreciate this group, and anything. I'm learning something every time I participate. Everybody has great ideas. Yes, Bill.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm ready to help facilitate until you guys train up. Everybody feels secure, because that's one of the things. In order to spread it, you kind of need the facilitators. So I just wanted to let you know that I would be happy to lend my services if needed. That's all. Thank you.
Definitely, we need you. Anne?
I didn't have my hand up at that point. Marta did, I think.
Okay. I don't see Marta. Oh, there you are, Marta. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that, Stephan. It's exciting to me, of course, that you're reaching out to the academics, because I think being an academic myself, that's where I see there's a great, how with meditation, the whole thing is meditation was a practice, a millennial practice, and it was sort of on the edges of everything. And then they've done some studies, they've proved it worked, that it had direct effects on the brain. And there you go. Now meditation is something that is very institutionalized and very normalized, and we all see it. So I totally see that it will be very easy to write, and I'm happy that you're writing a proposal as well, because then not just for the funding itself, but because then it immediately has a different solidity to it. So yeah, so excited about. I'd love to see this proposal once it gets, I've reached out to an academic here in Ireland that Edwin interviewed with me a couple of months ago as well, to see if we could include, I don't know, we'll see in talks with him, but to see also if we were to do something here in Ireland, if we could include academics in it as well, because they've got the structures, they can get the funding, and because then it'll be, whatever gets implemented in one place, we can learn from it, we can measure it, and it can become a whole field of study, I suppose.
Yeah,
very exciting.
Very exciting when you can get, when you have when you have international collaboration, of course, that, opens all kinds of doors in terms of, giving you, more numbers in terms of your, the people you need for your studies to, to demonstrate an effect. size, in terms of the the data. So that's nice. And yes, you know, there's differences between, you know, the healthcare and medical system, and also the university, purely university system, and they're both. There's a lot of wonderful ways to collaborate between those two that can be beneficial for, you know, both.
I think Tawny had her hand up a little while ago.
Oh, Carolyn.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. You mentioned about Zoom. Are most empathy circles in person or in Zoom, or are they all on Zoom now?
Well, I can't speak for Edwin, but I'll speak for us. You know, yes, we do not meet, you know, in any kind of meeting capacity with more than 5 people, and they have to be 6 feet apart in the hospital, unless you're taking care of a patient. And so, you know, one of the cultural changes that's come out of COVID-19 is across the world, you know, organizations that are not climate deniers, or not virus deniers, or science deniers. You know, they follow these some variation of recommendations on you know, protecting you know, people, and so the Zoom platform and GoToMeeting and others like it have just taken off, and we've talked about in many different groups. There's something unique that particularly the Zoom platform brings to the Empathy Circle, in my opinion, which is very different than if it were in person. I mean, if you, particularly, you know, in Edwin's normal work of in you know, having these empathy circles with people on the political divide, you know, blue states, red states, Republican, Democrat, you know, there's a lot of, you know, anger and emotion that is, you know, visible when you're standing right next to somebody, and it's much harder to distance, and you know, but this platform uniquely changes, you know, some of that and puts some distance there, and I think also allows maybe for provide some safety to people in some ways to express you know, their feelings and thoughts and experiences in a way that perhaps they wouldn't in a you know, and it can also I think you know, reduce the you know, some of the, you know, the negativity particularly that can arise in a more you know, in-person platform. But these are just some ideas, and you know, I have not done nearly as many of those types of things as, you know, Edwin and others here have. But Carolina.
I don't know if, okay, so I just want to mention that using online platforms is tricky. It depends a lot of people, how familiar they are with technology, how comfortable they are. For example, I feel very comfortable in meeting online, but I spent few years at home because of some issues, some situation. I couldn't go much out, and I was functioning online. So I feel very comfortable, and actually I feel that I can have deep connection with other participants. I experienced that before many times, but there are a lot of people who don't feel really comfortable with technology, and they prefer meetings in person. That's very tricky, and it's not like people of elders are prefer not technology, meeting in person, and the youngsters prefer technology. it doesn't go this way. It's through different generations, different preparations. Some people feel much more comfortable in person. Some people feel completely okay with online. It's as far as that's my experience of it.
Is there someone else before Marta, or? Oh, Edwin, did you have?
Oh, no, I think Marta was first.
It just to add a little quick thing, one thing I found, before I forget, one thing I found in Ireland is I was trying to look for precedents. And so I heard of this thing, don't know if you've got it there, but they've got it running here, still in small scale, this thing called Schwartz rounds.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think one of the things when I try and make the case for it is I'm going to try and, you know, and I'm asking to people that would know, because I don't, are there any other things like that that are already in place? Because then you can sort of make parallels of how these things have had proven benefits. And so, yeah, it just helps making the case in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I'm familiar with Schwartz rounds, and you know, it's just, you know, putting it. It's really about putting the patient at the center of the you know, it's like a return to the patient at the center of the discussion, and really incorporating the patient as a part of the, you know, team, and getting, you know, well, the way that you know, the way that we're utilizing, or that I'm thinking about utilizing the empathy circle, is in the context of you know, it as an intervention to promote wellness, resilience of the healthcare worker through you know, through improving self-awareness, managing your you know, your fear and your anger, your difficult, challenging emotions that come up during the workday, to help you navigate you know, your irritability and challenging conversations and your biases that Obama's trying to infect the world, or China's trying to, you know, destroy the United States and take over the world, or all these wacky conspiracy theories that these ideas that spread like viruses at the same time as COVID-19. So empathy circles allow us to slow down and get, you know, hear a first ear and a second ear, and you know, around the circle it goes, and you know, it's almost like a mindfulness practice in a way that expands your awareness by, you know, by the silent listener and the direct listener, and then the outcomes that result from that do lead to improvements in organizational culture, effectiveness, and then patient outcomes. And so this is bringing together a lot of some of the very most important research areas right now. I mean, these are the second ideas in healthcare right now, is how do we, so linking healthcare wellness, which it was never even on the radar until recently, linking that to empathy, or empathy to healthcare awareness, and then wellness, and then linking that up to things that corporations and hospitals care about, which are their mission, and then something that we all care about, you know, patient outcomes for ourselves and for our loved ones, and, you know, that sort of thing. Edwin?
Yeah, so I got a kind of a variety of things. One is about in-person online, like Lou is doing in-person. He was in Petaluma, so it's an actual cafe, be a group of 20, 25 people come, and I've done, and then you divide into tables. Was done in Australia. I've done it here in Berkeley. We've done it at the Empathy Tent, where we set up in public spaces. We offer listening, do empathy circles there. So it's, you know, it's whatever context, you can apply it to any context now, because everybody's online. There's a, you know, big push for doing it online. sort of ease of use, quickly connect to people all over the world. So there's that benefit. It's also the empathy circles. It's basically what we talked about before. It's the larger culture of empathy context. And it's just one really simple practice we can sort of spread. And it can be done with, in terms of Stephan, kind of getting it out to different, it can be sort of a community practice. So it could be done with local politicians, religious leaders, social leaders that would, if we can get them to model it, I think it kind of helps it kind of be more accepted. So, you know, kind of a grassroots and top down. So kind of trying to bring it in wherever we can. There's also, it had me thinking in terms of maybe we could get some of the people who are in the healthcare, like Helen Reese. She's got a empathy project. There's a group that I've interviewed and talked to in the UK. It's an academic center, you know, approaching empathy in healthcare, sort of in an academic. You know, we can get them together, maybe give a little presentation, you know, 15, 20-minute presentation, you know, with staff. And then you do an empathy circle. So there's a lot of different ways of sort of bring that in. And also mention that the Cleveland Clinic, which is, you know, kind of the second most, you know, prestigious conference healthcare, you know, after Mayo Clinic, they have an empathy and innovation conference. So if we can connect with them, you know, and so there's just all the, there's a whole world of sort of possibility. It's just a matter of seeing where we can get traction. So I'm just throwing out a lot of different ideas. Yeah.
So I just say the way that the way that I first introduced this is just to introduce the Zoom platform. So the Zoom platform I introduced to run our departmental meetings, to deliberately introduce the idea of maintaining connections via frequent video conferences, communication during COVID-19, and then you know, then bring in you know, these doctors that I brought in today who you know, really I think that the Empathy Circle has become like an existential resilience resource for them, because it's given them a sense of meaning and purpose, you know, because, you know, they were, and even in my department, I'm thinking it can be seen that way, because, you know, psychiatrists were wondering what their value of their contributions were initially, and they weren't, you know, so this, you know, so the psychiatrists who have started to participate, and the folks that I've invited to participate, I think, you know, are slowly starting to appreciate, you know, and be grateful for the Empathy Circle process in terms of how it can be utilized through its scalability to help a large number of people. And it also helps, it also creates this collective sense of action, and that, for example, in our community, we are recalling our mission, which is to help vulnerable people. And that collective action sense, and that sense of we that can be generated through the Empathy Circle, and you know, connecting via this platform or some technological platform, is very powerful, because it produces our sense of purpose and meaning. You know. So who's Neetu, did you want to say something? You can't hear you, Neetu. You're on silent.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I just wanted to add an idea, because we're going to try to bring it from an academic point of view, and hopefully solidify our need for this through research. And maybe we can encourage, at least at Brookdale Hospital, to incorporate this into morning rounds, because with every team in the hospital, be it psychiatry, emergency, pediatrics, anywhere, even nursing staff, they all have a morning report that starts the beginning of the day, where they discuss the goals that each member of the team have to follow through with. And this short empathy circle could be almost like a pep talk for them, like almost what you do in, you know, when you send out your football team. So this is maybe one of our goals, I think, would be effective.
Yeah, so just to comment on that, clarify it. So there are what are called transitions of care in hospitals and healthcare. Say when, one team is taking over from the next, and in that communication, there are different evidence-based models out there, and some variation of an empathy circle could in some way be utilized as a tool to strengthen those transitions of care, because it's been found by the National Academy of Medicine and other people that some of the greatest errors in healthcare and medicine occur during these transitions of care and things like that. So that's a very interesting idea. We'd have to certainly work on the time part for sure, because it has to be very brief. But
Right, they're usually urgent.
I don't know who was next. There was some, I don't know, Marta?
Anne was next.
Anne, hi Anne.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear how you're developing it, Stephen and Stephan. It's great, brilliant to hear. And I was curious, and I think partly you've answered during this. You've spoken a bit more about what's actually happening. But it'd be nice to hear from some of the people. I gather you've got some of your team here, or other people involved with it. It'd be lovely to hear their voices about their thoughts on it.
Yeah, we had
how
some.
It's going.
Well, Nitu's there. Well, you want to say something about what your experience was, Nitu?
As I haven't been in Brookdale Hospital in the front line since COVID really took off, but I have several colleagues who are in the front lines right now, and I could completely understand how much use they would get out of the Empathy Circle. Again, the greatest challenge, my computer won't stop taking my text messages, sorry about that. The greatest challenge, of course, is finding the timing. And I think implementing a way that it's almost a requirement, but not something forced upon people, but something that they want to participate is going to be the way to get people involved in the hospital. And that's what we're looking for, is that, once a study is out there to prove how effective it truly is, how important resilience is to the hospital staff, and how it will eventually improve patient outcomes and even interpersonal relationships and professional relationships. More people will want to participate. And
how about you? Could you say something about your own personal experience, though? Like, what was it like for you, though? I'm just curious.
I mean, so with my personal experience, I've already let off so much off my chest, just based upon my own recent struggles, my own challenges in life, and it's really helped me through it, because before the Empathy Circle, I was self-isolating more, and I mean, given COVID-19, it's already been isolative, but this has really helped me reach out to my colleagues and to people that I've never met, and it's been a great experience. It's been very therapeutic for me.
Marta? Oh, were you done, Anne, or sorry?
Yeah, no, carry on. Thanks.
Marta?
Yeah, thank you for that, Nita. It's brilliant to hear, like the enthusiasm as well as the experience. One thing that I do, with the Extinction Rebellion, with this group I'm a part of, because I couldn't get people to do empathy circles. Like, I could get some people, but not everyone. What I started doing was introducing at the beginning of our meetings, where we'd all sit in a circle, but you'd pair up with someone else. So 2 people, and preferably with someone that you didn't know too well, but you could use it for your round thing, for your rounds. And so what we do is, it's just one person speaks for 3 minutes, and then they stop, and then it's reflected, and then the other person speaks for 3 minutes, and it gets reflected. And it just, in total, it's 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But you get a lot covered in those 6 minutes. So that might be one way.
Carolina, or who? I'm not sure who was next, but
I just wanna share something that is probably easy to realize, but maybe worth to mention, that people have different capacity to practice empathy circle. and probably people like you, psychiatrists, psychologists, other people who have kind of professional skills are easier to embrace the method and to find easiness and quickly appreciate the method. But there will be many people who need at least 3 rounds to really feel at home, so to speak. And this is, I'm not saying this is the rule, but people who are not good in listening, who don't have any professional preparation or other skills, kind of natural skills to be good listener, sometimes need much more time to accommodate to this process, and it might be difficult in short practice. And I don't want to discourage, but I think it's good to keep it in mind that it might be the obstacle for some people if it's too short. Some people really need at least 3 rounds to feel comfortable with this method.
It's like a personal trainer or a meditation teacher. They're going to say, you can sully the practice, or you can, but there's a certain, anybody can benefit from anything, but a lot of people then will start thinking, that they are, I get exactly what you're saying there. It's like if you do it too short, then people won't get the full extent of it, the how deep and how it changes over time and what people express and all that. I mean, it grows the more you use it. So
but what do I mean, I'm afraid that when you will try to do that in hospital, you may feel kind of discouraged that some people don't get it. They don't get it because they need more time to really feel in it. Probably you realize that, but I just thought that maybe it's good to mention that.
Lou?
I just wanted to second what Marta said about finding ways to help people experience it, even if it's for a short period of time, because I think my experience is that that's the most important thing in convincing people of the value of it, is letting them experience what it is to, just to be listened to. And so I think that my experience is that has much more impact on people than, intellectual presentations or studies. Although I realize the culture of that environment, it does respond a lot to intellectual information. It's still really the experience of it that makes people say, well, it's not for someone else, it actually could help me, or I actually enjoy experiencing that. And so just even if a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, like Marta was suggesting, even if they only get one reflection or a little bit, just the idea that they would take a minute to speak and have someone reflect back what they're saying, that's unusual. That we don't usually do that in conversation. And we don't usually, we might take time to talk to each other, but we don't reflect each other back. So just participating in that interaction, even if it's for a minute or 2 minutes, that's something new. And people will have a different experience of it. Plus then having to reflect someone back, that's also new. That's something that people don't do, is reflect back when they're in conversation with someone else. So I think that's really valuable. And I think in time pressure environments, of which there are many, and certainly COVID medical environment is like the most extreme right now, finding a really short way to do it, I think is key.
What about this? I was thinking, I haven't thought this through fully, but this is just an idea, would be to record a few minutes of like the Empathy Circle with a group of informed consent, people who have informed consent to be recorded, and show the video in an email, because, I imagine that, everybody's out there saying, I think I do need to talk about this. I need to talk about how I saw 10 people die on my floor today, or I had to, I had to clean up the room after, people died, or I'm out there putting the bodies in the freezer or in the morgue, or I'm at the front door of the hospital telling family members that they can't come in the hospital to visit their loved one, and they are, going crazy and fighting us. We have to call the police and tase them. This kind of, I mean, there's so much anger and fear and stress in this environment right now. And if people experience the kind of listening, deep listening that occurs in Empathy Circle like this, and could see it, but then of course, a lot of people would be people probably wouldn't want anything like that out there. So if people just get a little taste of it, I think they'll come back for more. So I'm just thinking how to market that in a way, or
So
I don't know who's next.
can I respond to that idea?
Yeah.
So I think your idea of using short video clips to stimulate people's interest is a really good one, but I don't think having clips of people talking about difficult situations and having someone reflect that back, I don't think that's what will move people. I think what will move people is a short clip of someone who has been in the listening circle telling about how it was for them to be listened to. Mm-hmm. So if people see clips of that from people that they know and respect, saying what a difference it made for them, that I think and will make people interested in trying it.
Yep, gotcha. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. How much time do I think that's probably plenty of time.
Yeah, we're almost over, but need to had her finger up for a while.
Yeah, I just wanted to add from my personal experience that I could see the value in the reflective listening literally within the first interaction. And I think that as soon as someone is in it, they will see the value right away as well. And also, I feel that the more times you do it, the more comfortable you feel to share. So compared to the first time I did it to now that I've done it several times, I feel far more comfortable, and it's just it will be much easier to share each time. And I think that would be true for anyone who participates.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify if this is being recorded, because that when I was embellishing some stories there, just to give the idea of the kinds of things that are being faced by hospitals all across the United States, and just how challenging it is. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, can I just add one thing here is there's also I think what Neetu was saying about, once you've done it, you've gone through the process, it's sort of easier if you're then to do just a very short empathy. You're just listening a short, one round. You're sort of connecting with all that experience. So with the empathy tent, we set up in a conflict situation, and we'll do just a round of check-ins with empathic listening. And it's just enough to, share any anxieties, feel a sense of connection, and we're sort of ready to go. And then there's also the pre-circle, which is, once you've done an empathy circle, you've sort of gotten some resilience, feeling heard enough that then you can just go out to, in a hospital, let's say, in a difficult situation, is I'm here to give you 15 minutes, 10 minutes of just listen to you. I don't need anything. I don't need a reflection back. I'm just here to listen to you. Is sort of this, and we just call that like a pre-circle. So you're doing the same process, but you're just listening, and you're hopefully well resourced yourself, having been heard, previously, in other times. So it's all of a larger context to bring in this, sense that this empathic quality.
Bill?
I just wanted to say that about Neetu's, I think Carolina's idea, about, 3 rounds and getting to the depth is really well taken. But I also think that it has a cumulative effect. And so if it was ongoing, and even if it was very short, and people did it every day, I think that that also would have a beneficial effect. And that's all I want to say.
Okay, so that, do you feel complete there?
I see some messages from Dean, but he's chatting. He's sending me some messages. You want to say something, Dean?
Okay. Do you feel complete with that then?
Yes. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to have to